The demonstration I'm going to do today is that of flattening a sphere. So I'm going to create a sphere in Rhino. And I'll go to my Create tool, select the sphere, and hit Enter on my keyboard. And I'm just going to go to the pattern and turn off all the other layers. And if I turn off my flip triangles, it appears that I have a nice flat sphere. If I go in here and turn on the stress analysis, we can see that there's quite a bit of stress on the sphere. And if you can imagine a beach ball and you compressed it, took all the air out and flattened it, the shape may look like a sphere, but you would actually have lots of bad geometry, I guess, in that example, and that's kind of shown here when we flatten this sphere. If I turn on the flip triangles to show the bad geometry again, you can see that all these pieces here are flipped inside of each other, so you wouldn't get a good result. In this example, you have to say that flatten a sphere is not practical, but I will show you an example of a sphere that I created as a 3DS model. And I have that here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half, and I'll flatten half a sphere and show you what kind of result we get with this. So again, I go into the front view, and I'll go to my Create tool, and I'll select half of the sphere and flatten that. So I've selected half my sphere. I'll just hit Enter on my keyboard and go to the pattern piece, and I'll turn off the rest of this geometry and go into my top view. Now when I created this sphere, I basically have it broken down into 8 pieces in the top piece. So I'm going to go here to my Delete Cut tool, and I'll go around and I'll create my semi-sphere here. So you can see the geometry looks a little wanky, but what I'm going to do right now is introduce a cut. So I go to this tool up here, Data Manual Cut, and I'll just say make a cut down through this line here. And then I'm going to go up to my Pelt tool and select that. I'll just click here, this sphere. So as you see, as soon as I pelted this semi-sphere, it's opened up a piece of the fabric, and in the industry we call that adding a dart or a relief cut. Now if I go here and show the stress on it, I've taken a lot of the stress out. We're almost at zero stress. There's a little bit of stress here, but our next step is to go in and spring this. So I'll click my spring, and as you can see, it's going to open up the relief cut even more. I'll just move my progress bar over here. And we'll let the algorithm run and eliminate some of the stress in the material. Then I'll go up here and I'm going to add, say, a notch to the piece where I would sew it back together, or I could bring those pieces back together. And I'll close this tool and I will export this as a DXF. I'll just call it sphere. Now if I go into open up the DXF, click on sphere, and here we have basically the sphere with our notching information added. We have our cut line, our perimeter line here. We have our grain line showing the direction of the grain or the material that we're using, and we're ready to export this out to our cutting table or our plotter.